Welcome to NeoNexus. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more updates. Tonight we turn our attention to the US-Canada border, often called the world's longest undefended boundary. More than a line on a map, it's a symbol of peace, partnership, and shared prosperity. Billions in goods cross daily, but the border's true value is in the families, communities, and cultures it connects. For generations, this relationship has weathered wars, economic downturns, and political shifts, always anchored by trust and cooperation. Yet that trust is now facing a serious test. A recent decision in Canada has sent shockwaves across the continent, straining this historic bond. At the center, the Alaska Highway, a vital artery for commerce and connection. A new toll imposed by a Canadian province has escalated a regional issue into a national diplomatic crisis. This dispute forces us to confront tough questions about fairness, sovereignty, and the future of US-Canada relations. Even the strongest friendships require care and communication. Tonight we explore how a single policy can challenge decades of goodwill. What happens when a symbol of unity becomes a source of division, and what does it mean for the people who rely on this border every day? Let's begin. To understand today's crisis, we must revisit the Alaska Highway's origins. Built during World War II, it was a joint US-Canadian effort to defend Alaska after Pearl Harbor. Thousands of engineers and workers braved harsh wilderness, constructing over 1,500 miles of road in just 8 months. The highway became a symbol of wartime alliance and post-war partnership. Today, it's Alaska's primary land link to the lower 48, essential for goods, families, and businesses. American drivers and truckers must pass through British Columbia and the Yukon, relying on Canadian cooperation. For decades, this passage was governed by mutual understanding and necessity. The Alaska Highway stands as a daily reminder of what two nations can achieve together. It's more than pavement, it's a lifeline built on trust. But that trust is now under strain. Here's how it happened. In summer 2025, British Columbia stunned both nations by imposing a $750 toll on US-registered commercial trucks using the Alaska Highway. For truckers, that's $1,500 round trip, an overnight blow to already thin margins. The decision came without warning or consultation, leaving drivers stranded and businesses scrambling. Small trucking companies and independent operators faced financial ruin. Alaskan businesses saw costs for groceries, construction materials, and basic goods soar. Families moving between Alaska and the lower 48 were hit with higher moving expenses. What was once a symbol of open passage now felt like a barrier. The toll wasn't just a fee, it was a shock to the system, creating isolation and resentment. Alaskans felt unfairly targeted by geography and circumstance. The fallout was immediate and personal. British Columbia defended the toll as a matter of fairness. The province argued its taxpayers had long shouldered the cost of maintaining a highway heavily used by American trucks. Harsh weather and heavy loads mean constant, expensive repairs. Officials said the toll simply asked users to pay their share, a common principle in transportation. Canadian trucking companies already pay provincial fees, why should US trucks be exempt? The revenue, BC promised, would fund highway upgrades for all users. To them, this was not punishment, but fiscal responsibility. The move was legal, provincial, and, according to BC, long overdue. But to Alaskans it felt like a betrayal. In Alaska, the response was outrage. The toll was seen as an economic blockade, exploiting the state's isolation. Small businesses feared for their survival. Trucking associations warned of closures. Families faced higher costs for everything from groceries to moving vans. The sense of betrayal ran deep. Canada, once a friend, now felt like an obstacle. Alaskan leaders called the toll discriminatory and demanded federal action. They pointed out that Canadian trucks use US highways without similar fees. The political response was swift and united, escalating the issue to Washington. The stage was set for a major diplomatic confrontation. What began as a provincial policy now threatened the entire US-Canada relationship. The stakes had never felt higher. The friendship was on the line. Alaska's anger quickly reached Washington, D.C. The U.S. government lodged a formal protest with Ottawa, calling the toll a violation of cross-border agreements. But Canada's federal government couldn't simply overrule British Columbia. Provinces control their own roads. Ottawa was caught between an angry ally and a province asserting its rights. Behind the scenes, tensions rose as the U.S. hinted at retaliatory measures, inspection fees, slower border crossings. The dispute exposed a weakness. Even close allies can be divided by local decisions. The Alaska Highway toll became a case study in the limits of federal power. Trust between Ottawa and Washington began to erode. The crisis was no longer just about a road, it was about the future of North American cooperation. The world was watching. The toll's impact rippled far beyond Alaska. U.S. officials feared a domino effect. Other provinces or states might impose their own fees, threatening seamless trade. The North American supply chain depends on open, predictable borders. A patchwork of tolls could spark a trade war, raising costs for businesses and consumers on both sides. The foundation of free trade felt suddenly fragile. Trust, once the bedrock of U.S.-Canada relations, was shaken. Businesses hesitated to invest, fearing sudden policy shifts. The dispute risked fueling protectionism and division. A single highway toll threatened to poison decades of goodwill. The need for a solution had never been clearer. The way forward demands a return to cooperation. Both sides have valid concerns. BC faces real costs, Alaska faces real hardship. Solutions are possible: a lower universal fee, an annual permit, or a joint infrastructure fund. The U.S. could help pay for highway upkeep, preserving access and easing tensions. This crisis is a reminder. Even the closest partnerships need constant care. Leaders must look past immediate conflict and focus on shared interests. The Alaska Highway was built in crisis to unite a continent. Now, it's a test of whether unity can endure. Dialogue, compromise, and trust are the only way forward. The world is safer when the U.S. and Canada stand together. Let's ensure the Alaska Highway remains a symbol of unity, not division. For NBC Nightly News, I'm Lester Holt. Good night.